Hi, this is Darlene from Darlene's Creative Studio. Welcome to day 25 of our Creative Journal Prompt Challenge. Today we are going to be collaging, and yesterday I was working and cleaned out my little scrap tray and my scrap bag, and I pulled everything out that I could use for collage. And what I am going to use today are some scraps of some book pages. I was making some envelopes out of these book pages, and these are left over. I'm going to take these and glue a couple of pages together to create a thicker journaling card, and we're going to collage those journaling cards once I put a whole bunch of them together. So we're going to go ahead and glue in our card, right on the back of the card what we're working on, and then I'm going to clear up my desktop here, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue a whole bunch of the pages together. Actually, just put it on here. I'm going to go ahead and glue a bunch of these pages together, and then once they're glued together and dry, I'll start cutting out some shapes and we'll start collaging them. So I've gone ahead and glued all the pages together and then just cut a whole bunch of different squares or shapes out of them. Because they are all such odd shaped pages, I tried to get as many square pieces as I could out of them. And then with the remaining little corners, I just got out my die cut machine and cut out a few small pieces out of the scraps. I didn't want to waste the scraps. So I have 4 that are about 3 inches by 4 1/4. 2 that are probably 2 1/2 by 4 1/2. I cut 2 into some type of tag, and then these ones as well with the tag shapes. I think what I'm going to do to start off with is perhaps glue some of this. This is some decoupage paper that I have, and I think I'm going to start with that one and maybe put a little bit of that on some of the papers, and then I will collage them afterwards. I may get some of my other collage paper. I also have this one. I might get that one out as well and do 1 or 2 with that. But I'm going to start with the base of this, and then we will collage on top of that afterwards. So I think I will start with the squares. So let's move these out of the way, and all these little bits and pieces, because these can be done individually when I use them for a special project. So I'll set these aside. Losing my voice. And then I think I will start with these larger ones, and then if I have room I will add the smaller ones on there. So again, I'm going to use my Art Institute glue, and what I'm going to do is put it on the card and then spread it out with my paintbrush to flatten it out a little bit. So I'm just going to glue that one, and then just very gently brush across the glue to flatten out the lines and make sure I get those corners. And then I'm going to set this on top right there, and with my brayer just go from the center out. And there's the first one. Then I'm going to work on the second one. And again, we're just going to glue these all on, and then we'll let them dry, and then we'll start adding different bits to our collage. So I'm just going to set that one down, and we're just going to brush it out gently, trying not to stick my finger in the glue here, just to get rid of those little bumps in the lines. Oops. And I want to make sure I do my corners as well. And then I'm just going to move it closer to the other one. Move that a little closer. And lay it down, and then just braid that one. There you go. And we'll continue on. And then what I'll do is once I get these all collaged, if I want to cut them into different shapes, I'll go ahead and do that. Or if I want to just leave them as a journaling card, we can leave them as a journaling card as well. So I'm just going to brush the lines out. And I'm really not too worried about it sticking to the plastic because I'm going to cut them apart anyway. Let's get those corners. Make sure we bring it in just enough. From the center out. And there we go. And we'll do one more. Oops. Okay, and the same thing, we're going to brush that out just to get rid of those bumpy lines. Make sure you get your corners and your edges of your paper, just gently. You want to brush it away, you just want to brush it flatter. And we can move him a little bit closer. And just let that roll. And bring that out. And there we go. There's our first 4 done. And let's see if I glued it to the plastic here. Just gonna put that up gently. Just that one piece. There we go. And this will wipe off because this is just a little cutting board. So I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe do, don't know if I'll get them both in there, but let's do one more. I've got more of this on the other side, so let's just do this real quickly. Now you can also add, if you want to take away from some of the collage or the words, you can actually use gesso and just kind of brush a dry brush of gesso across this once it's dry. And that'll just take away from the brightness of the pattern as well. Now I'll try and get this one as close as I can, see if I can get another one in there. There we go. Let's see. Yep, we'll get that last one in there as well. Let me just move this up so you can see it. I don't want to take it out of screen here. So I'm just going to set this one aside and I'm going to let this dry. And I'm going to grab my other decoupage paper and we'll do the 2 tags, or the 4 tags in that. Okay, so again, we're just going to flatten those out a bit. Make sure you get your corners. And I'm just going to lift this up and set this down here. And let it drop, and then braid out. There we go. So again, we're going to set this aside and let this dry a little bit. And then I also have this paper that we used in another project earlier. And let's see if I can get these 4 out of this. So I'm going to start with the tag. And let's just spread some of the glue on here. Now you can just start with a picture on the tag and then add some other elements on top of that. But I brought this decoupage paper and I thought I may as well use it. I brought it with me. Let's use it up. Again, just a nice light, I'm not brushing it too hard. And you want to make sure you get right to those edges. Okay, I'm going to set this guy on here. I'm going to try and get that can in there. And I'm just going to start at the center Brush up and brush down. And that keeps it nice and flat. And then I'm just going to flip that over. We'll do our small one next. And just brush out the glue really quickly. And glue your hand. Just put a whole bunch of glue on my hand here. Oops. And I'm just going to slide that guy in there. We'll get the little horsey on there. I don't want to put my brush down. And you go up and down. There we go. Okay, let's do the large one. And you want to make sure you get right to the edges on these. And we'll get right to the corners like that. And we'll just brush this out gently. There, I'm just going to put my brush over out of the way, and we'll set this guy down. And again, from the top down. And one more. Now this one was a little wider than 2.5 inches, so my tag is a little wide, and I think I will trim it up once I get the decoupage paper on it. I'm finding the edges are sticking out just a little too much, they maybe look like wings. So I will go ahead and trim it. All right, so let's get that last one in there. Just gonna lift it up and set it down. Right like that, and then go from the top to the bottom. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna let these dry, and then I will cut those out. I'm just gonna go wash my brush out. And when they're dry, I will cut those all out, and we will go ahead and start from there. All right, go in there, you. There we go. Okay, so let me go wash my brush and I'll be right back. So I've got all of the tags cut out. This was our double-sided paper that I glued 2 pages together, and these were scraps. These are all funny shaped scraps that I just glued together and tried to get a shape of some kind out of them. And we've added the paper on there, and it's nice and dry. So I think I'm going to take my distress ink here, and I'm going to distress the edges of the lighter ones, and then I'm going to start adding bits of collage, and again just using what I brought with me, stickers, stamps, and that type of thing. And we'll add some paper to the back so they can become journaling cards. So we're just going to go around them all with a little bit of distress ink like that. Now let's move these guys out of the way. And then I'm just going to take little bits and pieces of paper and scraps that I have, and we're just going to keep going along and collaging and adding to the pages. There's a little, I'll get rid of that, so that's a little sticker that's done. I have some of that brown paper that we had, the tissue paper. Here's another piece of sticker that we can use on some parts. And I am going to distress all the edges. I'm just going to play with the bits and pieces here and get rid of some of these scraps. We'll do that one. I really like this brown page, so I'm going to grab some of that tissue. I also have a little tiny piece of music paper here. This was a scrap, so let's glue that on there. I don't know if I have any more music paper here. I'll have to see if I can find some. My glue. Gives me such a hard time. There we go. So add that little guy, and I think it goes this way. So let's add that to, say, this one. There's that piece. And then I have a piece of this book page that was from 1903. Let's see if we can just tear this a little bit to give it a little more rustic feel. We can add that maybe to this one. Let's distress it a bit. This is an Ithaca, New York directory from 1903. And it's got some really neat ads in it, just a few of them. So I've scanned them and put them on my website. There's a couple of freebies on my website of downloads of some antique office equipment. I believe there's a carriage and a piano from the ads that were in the book. And it's darlenescreativestudio.com. You can find it under my freebies. All right, so we can have that on there. That one. And then I have, this is a little bit of like parchment paper. That one's nice. Don't like points, so let's take that off. Let's put this guy on there. I'm not sure if this is parchment paper or what it is, but it looks like, I like the coloring of it. So we're going to put that guy on there. Should we put him on there? Sure, what the heck. We're just going to keep layering and collaging as we go. We've got book pages here. Let's find some more of that tissue. I really like this dark tissue stuff. Just don't like how square it is. There we go. So let's add that there. And my TV's on in the background. Alright, let's put this guy on there. Let's put it right about here. That looks good. Oops, and I'm going to add this little guy in the corner somewhere. Let's put him on there. There we go. And we'll throw that in the corner down there. And then just, this paper tends to rip in a lovely square. Yeah, I'm going to put that one down in the bottom there. Okay, and then I'm just going to keep playing with these, adding more bits and pieces. I think I will distress the edges first before I add any more onto these. And then I'm just going to get some of the bases, and I'll distress the edges of those as well. And then I'm just going to get a few more little collage pieces on there, and then we'll start with stickers and stamps and that type of thing, and we'll just keep adding on as we go. But I like to finish distressing the edges of these before I go any further. There. So there's just a couple of little things on there. I've got some vellum, but I think that might be a little too dark, so we'll set that up there. I have a black and white picture that I was thinking of tearing up and maybe adding bits and pieces to. And just maybe adding a few of those little bits and pieces in there as well. So let's add that in there. All right. Right here. There. Okay. So let me go and distress these edges, and then we'll come back and we'll keep playing with a few more of these bits and pieces. So I've gone ahead and finished collaging the fronts, and I've just added the papers and stuff that I had here. I added a few of these little receipts. I cut them up and added those, some of the brown tissue paper, some of that book page, that photo, and then I added some stamps. And then I went ahead and grabbed some paper from my stash of end papers and put one on the back of each of the pages. And I'm just going to let them dry because they're still a bit damp. They're still a bit soft from all the glue, from all the layering. So I'm going to go ahead and let these dry, and then I may actually get out my stamps, my postage stamps, and just do like a little circle or the lines through those. But I've just added some of the cream colored paper to the back of these. And again, they're still very damp, so I want to let those dry. And I'm going to add some cream colored paper to the backs of these. I've done the first one. And I did distress around the edges of these, and I'm going to punch the holes in those, and then I may add just a few things to the fronts of these as well. And then once they're all dry, I'll come back and show you the finishing touches. So I had to let the cards dry a little bit more because I had done so many layers of collaging, and I added some paper onto the back just so that it would dry all together. So I did go ahead and use some of that sticker paper, some of that really thin tissue paper, some postage stamps, a piece of that book page, some of these little receipts, photocopies of these little receipts that I received in my studio box. And then this, I think, was a piece of parchment paper, and then it was decoupaged originally with that decoupage paper. And then I just took some of my end papers and I put them on the backs of the cards. And then I let them dry for a while. I just wanted to make sure that they dried, and then I could straighten them all out. So again, those are all the things I used. I did use some washi tape on some of them, but I did go ahead and put the paper on the back while they were wet, so everything would dry at once. So there we go. There's another one with the paper on the back. This one I used, this was actually came in some postage stamps. I don't know if it was an actual postage stamp or part of a letter that came. Again, I used a little bit of that washi tape and then some of those papers and put it on the back. Same with this one. That was the, it was like parchment paper maybe. Washi tape, there's a little bit of music page in there, a stamp, the book page, the tissue, and that little receipt. And again, now this one I ended up bending by accident, so it has a little crease in it, but I'm not too worried about that one. And then again, our last one, and again with the washi tape. And there's a piece of that sticker paper. And then I went ahead and did the tags as well. Again, just using the same papers. I did punch a hole and then add a reinforcement, and some of them I did use the little stamp label there. And these ones I did actually distress the white paper. So the same thing, this was one of those little postage stickers that I used in some of my other projects. The really pretty stickers that I got on my box. And this particular one, I cut the white paper off because it really stood out a lot when I went to put it on. So I just cut away the white part. And again, I used some washi tape and put the paper on the back. This was the front of one of those magazines, and I just used a little bit of parchment paper underneath it and then covered up that. And then again, there's the postage stamp, and I did rub my distressing brush on it just to take away from some of that white. It was very, very white, and it was really standing out and didn't go with the overall look of the tag. So just brushing a little distress ink on them takes some of that white down a bit. And again, the tissue paper, the washi tape, one of those little pieces of the little receipt, and then I used the tag on the back. So these I just have to distress the edges. And I may take, I do have a lined punch. It's a book page type punch. And I may try that on the back of these. I'd like to do some lines or something on the back of these on the cream portion of the journaling card. Just to give it a little bit of extra oomph. And let me just show you the tag, or the stamp. So this is the stamp here. So when you punch it, it comes out like this. And I might try that on these. But what I'll do is I'll get a piece of scrap paper. And when I punch it, I will actually have the scrap paper there, so I will just get the lines. I'll get a nice straight piece of paper so that when I punch these, I will just have, I don't want this line going down to make it look like a line, rolled paper that you buy at the store. So I'll just put something there, and then when I go to punch it, I will just get the lines on there. And I'm going to do it in brown because this is a very brown and earthy look. I will do it in my distressing in the vintage photo, but I'm gonna do that a little bit later. I really wanted these to dry quite a bit before doing that, and then, like I say, go around with my distress ink and just do the edges really quickly. And that was it. I just want to use up those scraps, some of those book pages that I have, tags and stickers and postage stamps. And this is a really great way to do it by collaging some of that paper. And it's gotten quite thick and sturdy, just gluing two of those pages together. And then starting with that, then doing the decoupage, then doing the white paper, and then doing all the collage. It really thickened it up and gave it a nice feel. So they're nice and sturdy. And I may even add, and let's just finish this one, and I'll show you real quickly. The problem is once I stop the camera, it's really hard to turn it off, the creating off. I'll start playing with it and think, oh, I could do this and I can add that. And so they end up looking different than when I finish. I was thinking of maybe adding a tag or two to the tops of these as well. So I can grab some of these, that's just a paper one, some of these tags. And some of them are a little thicker. And perhaps adding that to the top just to give it a little more feel. Yeah, let me add that to that side actually. So let's have one of these really quickly just to see what they look like. Let go. I've got my glue stuck. All right, we're going to have to use the Fabri-Tac. And we're just going to glue one of these tabs on to see what it looks like. Let's see, do we want it on there, or do we want it on there? I think I'm going to put it on this side. So you can do it off center. Slide it down a bit there. So you've got some perfect writing on this side. Or you can do another one. Let's do one more. And these are just tea cozy that you get from the fast food coffee places. The cozies that come around your tea. These ones were really, really thin, so I thought they would be nice to make into tabs. Let's make sure that's straight. And again, I just got to bend my card a little bit. I'm going to put these under a heavy book just to flatten them out a little bit more, but I wanted to make sure they were dry before I did that, or else they would all stick together. There we go. And if you want to, you can round out the corners. Let's do that on one of them just to see what it looks like. You say, turn it off and you'll just keep playing. I don't think I can round the corners on that one with, so let's do one of these. I like to turn it this way to round the corner so I can see it. Let's just see how that looks. There we go. And we'll distress our edges. Let's see what adding a tab to the top of this one. There we go. Let's put that guy in the middle. And make sure it's straight. There we go. See, it looks nice with the nice rounded edges. So I might do that to some of them as well before I add my tabs. Flip this over. Let's just cut these through. And we'll add the tab. It's amazing some of the products that you can find to recycle, to use in creating tags and journaling cards. There we go, there's that one. And these two are thinner, but we're still going to round out the corners. I still like that look of the smoother corners. Oops, and now I'm stuck. There we go. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. I think I just broke my... There we go. There. It's just really thick on that corner, I guess, and it jammed my punch. There we go. Let's glue another one of these on. This one had a little bit of writing on it, so I'll make sure that's on the inside of my tag. And there we go. And I have to make sure I distressed it first. There we go, and one more tag. And then I will say we are done before I think of something else I want to do and make it an hour-long video. There we go. So that is the tags using collage. And tomorrow I think I'm going to add a new prompt. I'm going to, where we're staying, I've had a couple of junk mail items in the mailbox, and I thought, why not use a piece of junk mail, one of their envelopes, and we'll make something out of a piece of junk mail. So I'm going to go ahead and add that prompt, and tomorrow we will play with a piece of junk mail. So there are our tags, all done and complete. Thank you so much for joining me again. Like I say, we're getting to the end. We have a couple of more days to go. And then at the end of the month, we'll put some of the items that I've made into the binder. I won't put all of the tags in, but I'll put 1 or 2 of each into the binder. And then I'm actually going to do a draw for the binder. So if you've been watching and following me along throughout this whole challenge, be sure to wait till the end of the challenge and see what's coming up on the 31st. Thanks again. See you tomorrow.